Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to the technology show on Salam Media. My name is Faizel Patel. The time is just gone past or on the dot on 7 o'clock. I take this opportunity to welcome all those listening to us on the Salam Media platforms, including on YouTube and the social media platforms as well. Remember, you can interact with me by sending me a tweet on at Faizel Patel 143. You can also send a tweet to at Salam Media. You can also comment on this live stream and also on facebook.com/Faizel Patel. I'm also on Instagram at Faizel Patel 143 and also my YouTube channel. You can check out some of the videos. Something I'm going to be speaking about tonight as well, inshallah. And you can like some of the videos and also subscribe to the channel. So, inshallah, we do have a packed show. I'm going to be sharing some details of some very important stories, particularly about the energy crisis. We know last week President Solomon Ramaphosa spoke about some solutions or his plan to end load shedding, and I think that is some good news. But should we become complacent about load shedding? And that's a question we need to answer. And inshallah, we can answer that question this evening. But before we go on to the tech show, I'm just going to take about 2-3 minutes to say Jazakallah to the Salam Media team, from the management to the engineers to the presenters, for the wonderful interviews that I did with the team while I was in Makkah al-Mukarramah and Saudi Arabia for Hajj. I returned about 2 weeks ago. Alhamdulillah, it was a wonderful Hajj amid some challenges, but it was wonderful. And I made lots of dua for the Ummah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, including you at home and including all the listeners of Salam Media. Now, I want to share something with you, and it's quite pertinent related to Hajj. Remember that we do have challenges with Hajj because there's currently a backlog in South Africa of about 16 to 17,000, give or take, a few thousand here and there. And last year, Saudi Arabia only granted South Africa a quota of about 1,132. Now, obviously, this is very concerning, considering that if that continues, it can take you anywhere between 16 and 17 years to go for Hajj. And that is not something that is ideal. So one of my du'as and my primary du'as is that, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts my dua that everybody has an opportunity to go for Hajj. Now, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that a Hajj's dua is accepted for a period of 3 months. So that will be my primary dua, inshallah, that Allah accepts my dua, that inshallah, that you have the opportunity to go for Hajj. Now, I also want to share with you, there are some videos and comments going on social media that the Hajj was very difficult, and a lot of people complaining about the Hajj. Yes, it's your right to complain about Hajj, and every person has a right to complain about Hajj. But I looked at it in a positive way, and I thought to myself that out of 1 billion Muslims worldwide and out of 3 million Muslims in South Africa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala invited me to go for Hajj, and obviously we need to make the sacrifices. Obviously, there will be some challenges, there will be some difficult moments, but this is testing times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us in different ways. And when He tests us in different ways, inshallah, this is when He see our resolve and whether we can have that little bit sabr, that little bit patience, and inshallah, He will accept our du'as as well. I've also heard another comment or seen another comment that Hajj is only for the rich. Now, I'm going to disagree with that statement because I am a testament to that. Hajj is not only for the rich. Yes, it does take money to go for Hajj, lots of money, and it is quite expensive, right? And listen to my words carefully. I'm not saying it's for the rich. I'm saying that it is expensive and it takes a lot of money, right? But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to go for Hajj, and if He wants you to be in His holy lands, then nobody can stop you from going for Hajj. If Allah sends you the invitation to go for Hajj, and if it's meant for you to go for Hajj, inshallah, then you will go for Hajj. But you also have to make an effort on your side and save money, right? So you have to save money, and inshallah, if Allah extends that invitation for you, then you will go for Hajj, inshallah. And that is my dua for those that say that the Hajj is only for the rich. No, it is not only for the rich. Allah doesn't worry whether you are rich or whether you're poor. If He gives you your labbaik, or He invites you, or gives you that labbaik, or if your labbaik is there, inshallah, you will go for Hajj. And I'm a testament to that. And I know a lot of people, if you speak to Hajjis, they will relate the stories of how they had absolutely nothing, but yet they went on Hajj. So my advice to you before we start our tech show is that make your niyyah, make your niyyah to go for Hajj, put your name on the Sahuk list, and start saving money and make fervent dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He take you for Hajj. No rich, no poor. Nobody can supersede Allah. He is the all gracious, the most merciful, the most kind. If He invites you, nobody can stop you from going for Hajj. So I don't agree with the sentiments that Hajj is only for the rich. Yes, it does take money and it's a lot of money, but if Allah wants you to be there, nobody can stop you from being there. So my dua, inshallah, for you and for all the listeners of Salam Media and the entire Ummah is that whatever dua that you have during the period of the show, inshallah, share it with me. And I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, my dua, inshallah, Hajj's dua is accepted for 3 months. Whatever dua you have, inshallah, I make dua that Allah accept my dua on your behalf, inshallah, and Allah grant you all the blessings, the barakah, and inshallah give you the opportunity of the many opportunities I had to visit the Holy Lands. Jazakallah for tuning in. Let's go on to the first story of the tech show, and we're speaking about Apple. Well, later this year, Apple will be releasing their new iPhone again. Please excuse me, I did bring the flu back with me from the Holy Lands, so my voice is a bit froggy, and I do apologize for the coughs in between. But as I mentioned, Apple will be releasing their new iPhone later this year. We've seen the WWDC, which is the Worldwide Developers Conference that took place just a month or so ago. There was a new MacBook that was released, a new MacBook Air is already available in South Africa. But I also seen a documentary that Apple is not innovating enough. And this, ironically, came from Elon Musk, the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla. And remember, he's South African born as well. But nonetheless, Apple did report a $19.6 billion in revenue, making a 12% year over year increase. So that is slightly better, but narrowly falling short of Wall Street's predictions of 19.7 billion. So they're like $100,000 short, but they did make a huge profit. Now, Apple announced its financial results for its fiscal 2022 quarter, which ended on the 25th of June. Now, it posted a June quarterly revenue of $83 billion, up 2% year over year, and quarterly earnings per diluted share of 1 Rand 20. So those are just some financials I wanted to share with you about Apple. Apple's third quarter services revenue also falls short of the last quarter. That means last year's breaking of 19.8 billion, and also down from the 27% growth it reported during the same period last year. So Apple had not provided any guidance for the third quarter, that's Q3, citing ongoing supply chain issues, continued disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, remember, the COVID-19 pandemic really did cause a lot of disruptions, to service delivery and many other deliveries across the world. To give you an example, there's a YouTuber that I actually follow on YouTube. He's called Jerry Rig Everything, and he was selling these unboxing knives. Now, I do a lot of unboxings of products I review. So I ordered this knife in December, not December, around November last year. And I promise I only got it in the beginning of July. So it took a lot of time because of the whole delay in flights and COVID-19. But nonetheless, continuing with Apple, so basically the CEO, Tim Cook, says that as always, they are leading with their values and expressing them in everything they build, from new features that are designed to protect user privacy. But that's the thing. The iPhone that you see is the same. The design is the same from last year, maybe a few changes here and there or new colors. The only thing that's different is the software. That's maybe important, but we want to see new innovative features, and hopefully this year we can see that. Now, coming on to the category by category breakdown of Apple's Q3 2022 revenue, I did share this. You can read it on the Citizen website. I wrote the story for them as well. So let's start off with iPhone. The iPhone revenue for the quarter 3 2022 was 40.6 billion. Now, this is up from 39.5 billion in a year quarter. So basically, the iPhone sales went up from last year. Now, I did mention, like I said, they haven't been innovative, but it seems to be more loyal customers that have been going for the iPhone. And despite the lack of innovation, Apple is continuing to record, increases. Coming on to iPad, the iPad made 7.2 billion. This was down from 7.3 billion a year ago. So iPad sales not doing too well. In South Africa, the iPad starts from around 17,000 rand. That's for the new one. Quite exorbitant. I haven't even upgraded because it just becomes too much. For that amount of money, you can actually spend on a fully fledged, powerful computer. Coming on to Mac, the Mac is also down. There's a new MacBook Air, as I mentioned, in South Africa. There's even a new MacBook Pro. The Mac made 7.3 billion. This is down from 8.2 billion in a year ago quarter as well. Remember, the Mac also very, very exorbitant prices. They start off from around 19,000 rand and go right up until 50 and 60,000 rand, depending on the specs that you want. So quite exorbitant. If you're an individual user, it can really burn a hole in your pocket. And then coming on to wearables, home accessories, right? So wearables will be your Apple Watch, and your home accessories will be your home pods and many other stuff as well. That was around 8 billion rand, $8 billion, and that is down from 8.7 billion a year ago. So they're not making much with the Apple Watch. Again, I don't use an Apple Watch. I love the Apple Watch, but the battery life is just atrocious. And I'm using currently a Huawei Watch GT2 Pro, which is the moon phase one. But again, the Apple Watch, very, very expensive. And then coming up to services, which is, your Apple TV, or whether it's an iTunes store or music store, whatever it is, the services, 19.6 billion, up from 17.4 billion a year ago quarter. This is probably related to the various platforms they got, which is Apple TV, the apps that you download for the iPads and Macs and many other stuff. So this is also gone up, and Apple making a lot more money from there. So there are other innovations that they are talking about in the future. And Apple Car, they said probably by 2025, something that I've seen in the documentary. But hopefully they can come out with a different design, and hopefully they can come out with more innovative features, inshallah, so that those that really do like iPhone, I really do love iPhone. I do use a Samsung as well, which is my Galaxy Z Fold 3. I really, really love this device. Really makes it easy to do a lot of work, especially as a journalist. But the iPhone is my primary device, and I hope they will then come out with better features, inshallah. Coming on to our second story, and that is related to social media. And if you use Twitter like I do, and a lot of people do use it for breaking news and keeping updated on news, well, basically, Twitter wants to label your tweet with a status in latest tests. So we know you get status updates in WhatsApp, you can get a status update probably on Facebook and Insta, and now they're coming to Twitter. So basically, you will obviously be concerned because Twitter is now doing this whole status thing. Statuses are a selection of pre-written labels. For those that are not aware, the tweeters can assign to a tweet to offer a little more information. There's a thread, AMA or spoiler alert, labels to choose from, and many other stuff as well. So for a limited time, this is according to a spokesperson for Twitter, for a limited time, they are testing the feature that allows you to add a status topic from a predetermined list. So you can't choose your own, right? pre-list of your tweets, providing more context for your followers. This is according to a spokesperson. So whether you're about to drop a hot tweet thread, share your shower thoughts, or have a bad case of the Mondays, your tweet can be better conveyed what you are up to. Now, I can tell you that Twitter is a very good platform. I've written many stories based on videos that have appeared on Twitter, whether it's Ramaphosa speaking or whether it's a court appearance of somebody. It does really provide a lot of info. And the Twitter spokesperson also typed the words drop or tweet thread. Obviously, if you got something explosive to share, like breaking news and everything, so obviously maybe they've got that thread that will be there. Now, one of the biggest downfalls with statuses is the fact that they are non-customizable, and that's what I mentioned earlier. That was a conscious decision from Twitter. So you can't make up your own status. Unfortunately, you can have to choose from a predetermined status. Now, people might be more open to the idea if they were able to make their own statuses. Most of the status labels are basically useless, particularly a thread. When a thread is created to show that this button automatically appears underneath it. So, if you're feeling sort of groggy on a Monday and you only got that one little tweet which doesn't express yourself properly, then obviously it doesn't really help. And currently, there's no announced date for the feature to roll out globally, and that's if the feature ever reaches the rest of the world. Now, these social media companies do test out features sometimes, and some users have access to the beta version and they can test it out, but they get criticism and they get feedback, and then they decide maybe to dump it or not. So let's see what actually happens on that particular one. And then coming on to our last story, I think it's very important. Most of you would have heard that President Ramaphosa has an energy plan in place. Remember that we've been subjected to insurmountable and recurring load shedding for a long time. Now, my favorite word for ESCOM is the Dark Lords of Megawatt Park. And I got a whole lot of other words for them: the Snatchers of Light, the Princes of Darkness. Load shedding, let's face it, listeners, is just something that is irritating. It makes you angry, and it really causes havoc in your life, especially when you don't have viable alternative energy solutions. Now, Ramaphosa's plans included a battery facility that they're building, allowing private producers to supply electricity, buying electricity from other countries, and other means. I did write a story this week on Twitter, on the Citizen website, where ESCOM released a statement saying Ramaphosa's plans could be an end to load shedding. Well, it's now been 2 weeks. We haven't seen any load shedding yet. And I don't want to jinx it, so let us make dua that we don't experience any load shedding. But what I'm saying is that don't become complacent. Even if Ramaphosa or ESCOM said there won't be load shedding anymore, do not take it for granted that there won't be load shedding. And the reason I'm saying is that even if there is a load shedding, you may live in an area where there might be an electrical fault, or maybe something happens to the substation and you're without lights, and you've got a similar problem, and that time you can be out of lights for like 2 3 days. We had it here in Indonesia South before, when a substation exploded. We've seen one in Akenhof, not in Akenhof, in El Dorado Park as well, and in other areas as well. I think when a substation exploded and people were left without lights for a long time, even in Joburg as well. So I did mention on previous occasions about alternative energy sources. Now, you would have seen the reports over the past 2 weeks that one of the major franchises that will now be stocking solar panels, and there's even talk about a subsidy for people that want to go the solar route. And then, there was also the negative aspect of it, where ESCOM applied to NERSA for those that want to go off the grid to be taxed or to pay a sum of money if you use solar panel. And the joke that was going around is now that ESCOM, want to even, ESCOM want to even charge the sun, or even is charging you because you're using the sun. So that is absolutely ridiculous. So you got a number of options available. Like I mentioned, you got solar, you got a generator, and then you got an inverter. So there's a nice little article on the Citizen website. It's called "How to Choose and Ensure the Right Electricity Backup System." So I'm just going to go through a few lines of it. If you want to read it, it is detailed. It's by a colleague of mine called Ina Opperman. She's a business journalist. So she says for South Africans who worry about load shedding, stage 6 returning, choosing and ensuring an electricity backup system has become an important subject. Very, very important at the moment. It is important to choose the correct system for your needs, but you should also know how to maintain it and ensure that it is insured in case of loss or malfunction. So she goes on to speak how to start. Now, I'm just cutting and I'm paraphrasing. So if you want more details, you're going to have to read that story on the website. So, how to start is a good starting point. Dial Direct and the team at Solarcraft have given some tips on the energy pyramid for the efficiency when choosing an electricity backup system. So, some of the tips they give is energy saving, no or low cost, switch off lights, energy efficiency, relatively low cost, and renewable energy, which is higher cost. And then they go on to choosing the right electricity backup. When it comes to choosing, you can go to solar, you can go to the inverters, and you can go to generators, right? And she gives a whole lot of other details on there. So here's my take on the solar and the generators and many other aspects of the electricity crisis. Let's start off with solar. Solar at the moment is currently very expensive. If you've got an average three-bedroom house, to use solar or to install a solar system can cost you anywhere from about 200,000 Rand upwards. And that's a lot of money, right? I know it's an investment and you can probably go off the grid. Hopefully, ESCOM doesn't get its way with NERSA, so that is taxed. And if you're off the grid, that means you don't pay no electricity to ESCOM because all you do is you harness the energy from the sun and that will supply your whole household. But again, very expensive. There is a franchise that's a retailer that's currently stocking these kind of things. But an average house, and depending on the size of your roof, can use anywhere between 8 and 12 up to 20 panels. This need to be connected to a storage device or battery, and from a battery connected to DB board, as I mentioned, can cost anywhere between 200,000 and upwards and very expensive. One of the ones that were cheaper before was a Tesla wall that is now gone up to almost, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 400 up to 700,000 Rand. So very, very expensive at the moment. Your other option, obviously, is to get a generator. Now, a generator is wonderful. It is cheap. It's not expensive. Depending on the kVA that you want, you can power a lot of things. You get an electrician to connect it for you. Automatically, it will kick in. Personally, I don't like generators because they're noise makers. Number one, they make a lot of noise, and they're very pollutive. When I'm saying pollutive, you can smell that diesel or you can smell that smoke. Depends where you actually put it and you got a good outlet. Imagine if your whole street had diesel generators, it will just be this constant sound all the time, this clucking sound that diesel engines actually make. And then what happens if you have extended load shedding and the diesel runs out, then you have to now go to the petrol garage, buy diesel and fill it up again. A lot of times people do have diesel on hand and they keep the extra storage, but for me I think that's very, very pollutive. It's very noisy. A neighbor of mine's a few houses away does have a diesel generator, and I can hear it from my side and I can actually smell the smoke that's coming this way when the wind actually wafts it. Now, the solution that I'm proposing, I think it's very viable. It is expensive, but it's an investment. I have an inverter, and I'll share more details about that. But with the inverter, I also made a plan to ensure that most of, if not all, my lights in my home are changed from the normal standard globes that you used to get, like 60 watt, 120 watt, 80 watt, whatever these globes are, and I change all my lights, right, onto LEDs. And let me give you an example. If you want a conventional light or a lampshade, it takes 60 watts of electricity. Now, if you keep your lights on in all the rooms, say if you've got three rooms or four rooms, it's 6 times 3 is 180 watts. If you've got four rooms, it's 240 watts, 6, 12, 18, 24, 240 watts of electricity that you're drawing, right? Because that's how much energy it is taking. It also makes the room hot, it is not cool. So that's one aspect of it. So the first thing that I did was I changed all my lights. And I'm not saying you have to buy fancy lights. You can buy these nice lampshades that you get at the China malls. They're not expensive. They sell for about 200-300 rand, depending on the design you want. And these LED lights, amazingly, they only pull between 1 and 2 watts, sometimes 3 watts, depends what you get. Now, if your whole house is that, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Imagine how little electricity that you are pulling. That's number one. Another thing for my outside lights, I got solar lights. Now, these solar lights, people have been mesmerized when I put it on social media about how they work. I put like a few in front of my house and a few at the back of my house. They don't draw no electricity whatsoever. During the day, they charge with the sun, and in the evening, they go on automatically with motion sensor, or you can get the ones that stay on all the time in a dim mode but brightens as a person walks far. No electricity usage at all, nothing. It charges with the sun and it stores the battery as well. And it looks like a security camera, so it's a quite deterrent, a good deterrent for criminals as well. They sell from as 180 rand upwards, 130, 180 rand upwards. Easy to install, and a lot of people have bought it, because they see mine as well. So that's one thing of actually getting your electricity down. That's the lights part of it. Now, coming on to the inverter, if you want to see a more detailed explanation of the inverter that I got, and this particular video of mine on YouTube has garnered over 51,000 views. Yes, the video that I did on YouTube has garnered over 51,000 views because I explained my solution to load shedding. That's what it's called, my solution to load shedding. Go check out that video on my YouTube channel at Faizel Patel and search for my solution to load shedding. Please like the video and also subscribe to the channel. So my system is basically an inverter, right? So it looks the size of a video recorder box. So if you look at an old video recorder, a black one, it's about that size. It's very thin, it's compact, it's not big. So that is the inverter with a little digital screen. And then below that, I have two batteries, which is not lithium ion batteries, which is no two normal batteries. I can't remember the kVAs now, but there's two big batteries, and it comes with a cabinet. So I put it into the cabinet. It looks completely neat, and then on top of the cabinet, I do put the inverter on there. Now, to give you a size it looks like the size of an ottoman, or an ottoman chair where you relax your feet. There's little square chairs that you get. It's the size of that, but you can have a look at it on the video so you get an idea what it is. So I bought that particular inverter, and then I got an electrician to actually connect it for me. So the inverter plugs into a plug point. The electrician took a wire from the inverter, ran it through my ceiling, connected it to the DB board, which is your electrical board where you get your plugs, geysers, everything. And then so if the lights go out, automatically the inverter kicks in. Now, what does it power? The inverter powers anything that you want it to power. So you tell the electrician what you want powered. In my case, I told the electrician I want all my lights in my house to work. It means everything. It means my bedroom lights, my lounge lights, my office lights, my salar room lights, my kitchen, toilet, bathroom, everything. All the lights must work. And then I told him I want my plug point in my bedroom to work because that's where the fiber is. I want my plug points in the TV room or in the lounge to work because that's where our TV is and that's where our router is. And then I want the plug points to work in my office because when I'm doing shows like this or when I'm working at home, I can have access to my office and plug points here, right? So that's that. The only thing that the inverter does not power in my home is the geyser, the fridge, and the stove. Now, all this is in that YouTube video, right? And the reason it don't powers that is because you'll know that the stove, the fridge, and the geyser pulls a lot of electricity. When I mean a lot of electricity, right? So if I wanted to run them, I would actually have to buy more batteries. But then again, those batteries will only last as long as the current that is being pulled by these devices. So what do you do in that case? Well, you sacrifice. If you want the stove, get yourself a gas stove. They're not expensive. A little, two-plate gas stove and a gas canister, and you can still continue cooking and making tea or whatever the case may be. If you fridge, you can always get some ice, get a cooler box, and put some stuff in the fridge or whatever the case may be. And as far as the geyser is concerned, there is sufficient hot water in the geyser maybe to last for 1 or 2, 3 bars, depends how many people in the household as well. But for us, it does last. And then, like I said, you have to make some sacrifices. But normally, the load shedding doesn't last too long. And inshallah, the lights do return and you can have access to that again. So, how long does it last? Well, let me give you an idea. When our substation blew here in Malaysia South, I used my inverter for close to 17 hours. At 17 hours with still 2 bars of battery left. A 1 bar can last you anywhere between 3 and 4 hours, and the second bar another 2, 3 hours. So it looking at about a day. Now, sometimes load shedding goes beyond that, and that's what happened when I was gone for Hajj. My wife told me that, I mean, I wasn't here, so I wouldn't know. They experienced so much load shedding that week I was in for Hajj that the battery of the inverter didn't have enough time to charge. So obviously it depleted, but it did last for a good few days before it completely depleted. And when the light came back, then inshallah it did charge again. So now at the moment we don't have load shedding, the batteries are fully charged, and inshallah, hopefully we don't get load shedding again. But everything that I've mentioned on the show is available on that YouTube video on YouTube. Check it out, YouTube. And my name, Faizel Patel, and the story or the video is called My Solution to Load Shedding. Now, you do have different options. And you can put more batteries, you can get a bigger inverter, you can get different connections. Obviously, the more you put, the more it's going to cost. A lot of people ask me how much I paid. I'm going to give you the price, but again, depending on the specs that you need, it could go up or it could go down. But the minimum, this is the minimum. I have the above, slightly above minimum. My system cost me 8,000 Rand. 8,000 Rand, and I put it in June last year, I think July last year, and I haven't had a regret since. I mean, it's just been a phenomenal system and it worked absolutely awesome. So my system cost me 8,000 Rand. That's for the inverter. That is for the 2 batteries. That is for the cabinet. The installation by the electrician was around 350, 400 Rand, give or take which electrician you use. And then obviously it's working fine. Now you have an option to, as I mentioned, to put more batteries. You also have an option to buy lithium ion batteries, which are very expensive. I think they're around 10, 12,000 each, but these will obviously last longer. Inshallah, that is my aim, to buy lithium ion batteries so they can last longer as well. So that is my solution. You can check it out on YouTube. And if there's any comments, inshallah, you can share it on that particular platform. And I will try to answer as many questions as I can. But like I said, Ramaphosa has given us a plan, but we shouldn't let that complacency set in. Let us not take it for granted that there will be no load shedding. You never know what might happen. And if there is no load shedding, sometimes the prices of these things tend to come down, whether it's inverters, batteries, generators, solar powers. And while it's down, then this is your opportunity to reap and to get it as quickly as possible. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the show for this week. We were supposed to have a guest. We were going to speak about the lack of fiber and fiber problems in South Africa, but inshallah, we will arrange that for next week. So look forward to that coming in. Maybe you're living in an area that doesn't have fiber or have no internet connectivity. We're going to be speaking to an expert about the problems facing the country as far as the fiber rollout is concerned. So inshallah, that will come up next week. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember that this show will be podcast on Salam Media's YouTube. It will also be available on my channel as well and on my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. So if you missed anything, you can also check it out there as well. So until next week, please do take care of yourself and each other. Tomorrow is Monday. May I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a beautiful and wonderful week for you. I make dua that whatever dua that you request from me, inshallah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you your dua and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you in whatever difficulty you have. All those people that are sick, all those people that are ill, all those women that can't conceive, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you to conceive. All those people that want to go for Hajj, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you to embark on this beautiful journey. Those that haven't got jobs, those that want barakah, those that have difficulty with their parents or have disputes with their parents and family, whatever dua that you request from me as a Haji, inshallah, I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your dua, inshallah, and grant you all that your heart desires. Have a beautiful week. From myself, Faizel Patel, and my engineer for this evening, Brother Sadiq Joseph, and from the entire Salam Media team, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.